The Agriculture and Natural Resources Budget Subcommittee will come to order. Missy, please call the roll.
Chair Esposito.
Here.
Vice Chair Botana.
Here.
Ranking Member Dunkley. Is excused. Representative Albert.
Here.
Representative Alvarez. Representative Barnaby.
Here.
Representative Bartleman.
Here.
Representative Benaroche.
Here.
Representative Black.
Here.
Representative Henson. Representative Mayfield.
Here.
Representative Mooney.
Here.
Representative Placencia.
Here.
Representative Salzman. Here. Representative Weinberger.
Here.
Representative Rayner as ex officio.
Present.
A quorum being present, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Ag and Natural Resources Budget Committee on this very icky Monday morning. Thank you for being here. We have one bill on the agenda, and I would like to ask Representative Tuck and Representative Alvarez to present House Bill 651. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, members. This is the comprehensive FDAX agency package, better known as the Florida Farm Bill. FDAX has 19 divisions and offices and covers a wide range of duties. The bill can be divided into two distinct categories, one being technical changes, one being policy changes. The technical changes modernize and streamline the agency processes, and in some cases they're so technical that we have a whole team of FDAX employees that could answer some of those bigger questions. The bill contains larger issues that I will summarize. First, the bill removes any additive to a public water system in Florida that does not relate to water purity. The bill requires transparent and accurate labeling for meat, milk, poultry, and egg products. The bill makes it a crime to fly drones over green-belted farmland. These drones can be very disruptive to farm operations and will treat farms as critical infrastructure in Florida. The bill also creates a misdemeanor for harassing anyone in public or private property with drones. The bill updates the successful state-funded agriculture and aquaculture disaster recovery loan programs, creates the Honest Services Registry, helps FFA students by permanently creating a scholarship for their participation, and ensures that schools can build infrastructure on their property. And the bill allows the state to purchase ag lands that were converted into a solar farm, and that is the bill, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Members, are there any questions? Representative Bartleman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Why does the Ag Bill need the language relating to a C4 registration, and why is that needed in here? What does that have to do with agriculture?
You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for the question. So currently, the department has a registry for the C4s, and they also have the Department of State with a separate registry. What we're asking the C4s to do is have an attestation form on the form that we provide that says that if they are allowed to participate in electioneering activities, then they are registered with the Department of State. If they are not allowed, then they just acknowledge that they're not allowed to.
Representative Bartleman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So do you think this jeopardizes their ability, like, for instance, if a Girl Scout in my troop in my county failed to fill out your form, what would happen to them? Like, because this is for all C4s across the state, not those just related to ag.
You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for the question. We've heard a couple of a couple of industries that may have issues with this, and we're happy to work with them on the language as it sits right now. A lot of the rulemaking will consist of helping groups like that feel more comfortable, but we're happy to work with any language that needs clarifying.
Representative Rayner, you are recognized.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and Representative Tuck, thank you so much for your text. I know I just got added on, but I wanted to kind of touch base on what Representative Bartleman asked about C4s. If they are already registered with the state, and especially with the ability to do electioneering, as we have a bunch of electioneering laws, why do we need something that's duplicative?
You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for the question. We just want to make sure that if they need to be registered with the state, then they are. What we've seen is that they will register with the department and not register with the Department of State, and it could just be because they don't know they should or that they have to. So we just want to make sure that we put something on our form that attests that they either know they shouldn't be participating in electioneering or know they should register.
Follow up.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and yes, and thank you, Representative Tuck, for that question, that answer rather. I do want to kind of pivot to the federal laws. C4 and C6 organizations are allowed to lobby, but if you are, it seems to me, by reading your bill, and I literally just read. Oh, it's a long bill. Just read it, but if you are C4 legitimate C4 organization, this bill essentially will force you to register as a PAC, and that may jeopardize your C4 status. So can you walk me through how did that requirement in your bill can comport with someone who just wants to be a C4 organization and not register as a PAC?
You're recognized if that's something you can address.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much, Representative Rayner. I know you just got the bill, and we did try to cut it down to 155 to 124 pages for you. But it's something that I'd be happy to explore with you offline if we need to have a longer conversation about it. What we're only trying to do is make sure that the groups that need to register do register, and the groups that don't. So that's all we're trying to do is add that checkbox to the form, but we'd be happy to have a further conversation if something needs to be clarified on there.
Representative Rayner, you are recognized.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. It's always fun when I'm ex officio, right? Wanted to walk you through some of the criminal penalties portion of your bill. Can you kind of walk me through just the compelling state interest to potentially add some of these issues? I think it was, and I was looking in the bill analysis, it was drones, and I think something else. And if you could remind me, kind of just walk me through the compelling state interest to add that. And is that something that's already in state law, or are we creating a new crime?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for the question. So we have 3 different criminal penalties in this bill. We have one being the ag drone language, and there's already an existing statute that outlines critical infrastructure in the state. What we're doing is adding ag operations as a critical infrastructure and including that in the list of that statute. We also have mail theft. My understanding with mail theft is that it was a federal crime, not a state crime, so we're creating a cause of action under state law. And then with retail fuel theft, that was already an existing law, but we're adding the credit card and gift card payment as an additional crime.
Representative Bartleman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Is there anything in your bill that would provide low-income families or working families assistance in getting fluoride tablets or fluoride pills or fluoride mouthwash, since you're eliminating the ability to put fluoride in water?
You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for the question. No, there's not.
Members, any other questions? Representative Weinberger?
Sorry. So the fluoride, that was a question I had as well. I had many calls. But when you adjust the pH balance, does it add fluoride? Is it another type of fluoride? Am I reading that right? Does it?
You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for the question. Fluoride is naturally occurring in water. What a lot of local governments and utility authorities are doing is they're adding fluoride to the drinking water to adjust the pH balance to be 0.7, which is considered to be, by some experts, the optimal range. What we're doing here is preempting that. We believe that consumers have the ability to choose what they're ingesting, especially when it comes to the public water source. We want to make sure that consumers have that consent authority.
Members, any other questions? Representative Rayner?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And Representative Tuck, I wasn't going to ask any more questions, but you said my favorite word, preemption. Actually, it's not my favorite word. So can you walk me through why we would, once again, I know what we like to do here in the legislature, but why we would initiate this preemption specifically for fluoride?
You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for the question. What we're doing is we are preempting all health additives. And we don't actually say fluoride in the bill, we just say health additives because we believe that if it's not related to water quality, water purity, then it shouldn't be added to our waters. One thing that I've heard throughout this bill process, this is the 3rd committee stop, so I've heard it a lot, is that we're going to increase cavities in kids and adults, and it's a public health issue and things like that. What I want to reiterate to the committee is that, it's not just adding fluoride that's going to prevent cavities. You have ingesting more water in general, not drinking soda, not eating candy, and we have all those personal health choices that will reduce cavities as well. But we want to make sure that it's all going to be a personal choice, not a local government choice.
Representative Rayner, you are recognized.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I understand a personal choice, but I feel like if we preempt it, we're making it a state government choice. So Ken, once again, and maybe if it will have has been asked and answered, I guess I don't understand why we feel that it's better a state government issue than local government when local government is closest to the people.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for the question. And I certainly understand the concern, but I think that the individual has their, the individual decision is at the core and the closest that we can get. So when it comes to the preemption, we feel comfortable with the individual choice.
Members, any other questions? Seeing none, we have no amendments. We are on public testimony. Jackson Oberlink, an opponent of the bill. You're recognized.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair. My name is Jackson Oberlink. I am the Legislative Director for Florida for All, and I'm here today to oppose this bill. I am a proud soy boy. I am a 6'5" vegetarian, powered almost exclusively by tofu and soy milk. I'm the guy bringing Beyond Burgers to the barbecue. And yet, despite what this bill seems to imply, big agriculture does not need protection from big, scary soy boys like me. I mean, look at me. I'm basically the Jolly Green Giant. The free market is supposed to let consumers decide what they want to eat. But apparently, big ag needs the state government to step in and make sure no one confuses an oat milk latte for cow milk. And while we're at it, let's talk about the fluoride ban. Fluoridated water is one of the most successful public health initiatives of all time. Are we really saying that the water is too woke now? That we need to give kids cavities to own the libs? Banning fluoride isn't policymaking, it's pandering to conspiracy theorists. At the end of the day, HB 651 isn't about protecting consumers. It's about protecting your buddies in big agriculture, using the power of the state to prop up their profits. So go ahead and make your jokes about soy boys and woke water, but let's not pretend that this bill is anything other than corporate handouts wrapped in tinfoil hat logic. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Brandon Edmonston, Florida Dental Association, waive in opposition. Karen Jarek, a proponent of the bill. Welcome. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairwoman Esposito and members of the committee. My name is Karen Jarosh. I'm with Heritage Action. I'm here to support HB 651. Section 74 ensures Florida's farmers are not unduly restricted from financial services because of arbitrary net zero standards. In 2021, America's 6 largest banks joined the Net Zero Banking Alliance, committing to UN-approved greenhouse gas targets for agricultural clients. This meant farmers could lose financing if they did not meet the requirements of the unrealistic climate goals. While many of those banks left the Net Zero Alliance recently, nothing is stopping financial institutions from continuing to enforce similar net zero mandates in the future. That's why the Florida Farmer Financial Protection Act is essential for Florida farmers and agricultural producers. The net zero agenda and its climate policies demand expensive emissions reporting, zero emission machinery, and massive infrastructure investments, burdens that would cripple small farmers. In Western Europe, leftist pressure to meet net zero standards has already spiked food prices and driven farmers out of business. Florida's agriculture is a vital economic engine and can't afford that risk. HB 651 is a common sense bill to protect our farmers from ideologically driven banking practices, ensuring farmers are judged on their credit worthiness, not their ability to electrify tractors. Please support HB 651. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Andrew Liebert, Florida Fruit and Vegetable Association, waive in support. Susan Clark, a proponent of the bill. Welcome. You are recognized.
Very honored to be here today. My background is 10 years at Harvard School of Public Health as a research assistant. I specialized in toxicology matters and attended dozens of toxicology conferences throughout more than a decade. And I just want to say, if you look at a material safety data sheet, an MSDS, on sodium fluoride, the form of fluoride that is input into water beyond what is called the dirty water part of it, you find even the manufacturer's admittance, that this is a hazard. It actually does create neurologic problems, which is why it happens to be, and you can check it out for yourselves, the primary ingredient in sodium in rat poison. Okay, now there is harm from it. That is positive. That's a known. Okay, that's why we need individual choice. But go beyond that to the agricultural context, because in addition to my background, I also do farming and organic gardening. And so I really love all of you for listening to this today. When someone doesn't have a well on their property, what water are they using for their animals, for their crops? They're using fluoridated water right now. And that is where you really see harm, even beyond the humans. It's not just human exposure. It's wildlife, it's birds and bees, it's, everything else. So I beg you, please do pass this bill. This is very, very important for all of Florida. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Julie Adamson, a proponent of the bill. Would you like to speak or waive in support? Waive in support. Thank you for being here. Lynn Hartman, a proponent of the bill. Welcome. You are recognized.
Thank you. I live in Melbourne Beach, but I have a dual American-German citizenship. There was a prior speaker, I think he called himself the Jolly Green Giant, who said that woke people want fluoride in the water. Well, nobody's woker than Germans, and Germany does not have fluoride in the water. When we lived in Berlin, we drank right out of the tap, and none of my kids had any cavities. The first cavity one child had was when he went to school up in Pennsylvania. So other than the wokeness, I want to discuss the dosage. RFK, he was famously putting a whole lot of methylene blue in some water recently. I take 1/6 of 1 drop of methylene blue, and I find it effective. So if you would like to dose people with a medication and have it systematically go through their body, what dose is it that you'd want in them? Also, there's something else I put on my teeth. I dry my teeth off and I apply it to my teeth. It's called hydroxyapatite. I don't drink it. So please go with the yearning that the Floridians have to remove toxins from what they're eating and to let people decide what it is they want to do with their bodies. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Alex Haley, Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Waive in support. Thank you. Rebecca Ricks, a proponent, waiving in support. Sandra Riviera, a proponent of the bill, waiving in support. Catherine Henry, a proponent of the bill, waiving in support. Howard Adams, waiving in support. Jim Spratt, waiving in support. Tim Benson with Heartland Impact. Welcome. You are recognized.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman Esposito, members of the subcommittee. My name is Tim Benson. I'm the Senior Policy Analyst with Heartland Impact, which is the advocacy and outreach arm of the Heartland Institute. Both are independent national nonprofit organizations working to discover, develop, and promote free market solutions to social and economic problems. Environmental, social, and governance scores are essentially a risk assessment mechanism being used by investment firms and financial institutions that force companies and agricultural concerns to focus upon politically motivated, subjective goals which often run counter to their financial interests and to the interests of their customers. Companies are graded on these mandated commitments to promote, for example, climate or social justice objectives. Those that score poorly are punished by divestment, reduced access to credit and capital, and a refusal from state and municipal governments to contract with them. Many of ESG's metrics, primarily those related to imposing environmental controls, are directly linked to the agricultural industry and food production. Examples of some of these metrics include Paris-aligned GHG emission targets, impact of GHG emissions, land use and ecological sensitivity, impact of air pollution, impact of freshwater consumption and withdrawal, impact of solid waste disposal, and nutrients, which, despite its innocuous-sounding name, is a metric that forces companies to estimate the metric tons of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in fertilizer consumed. Farmers and food producers use chemical fertilizers and pesticides for crop growth, in addition to producing waste byproducts, consuming substantial quantities of water, using vast swaths of land, and releasing what climate alarmists claim to be planet-ending carbon dioxide emissions. The world has already experienced adverse food supply shocks caused directly and or indirectly by ESG mandates, with the most prevalent occurring in Sri Lanka, where a regulatory ban on chemical fertilizers cut crop production in half and resulted in societal upheaval that toppled the Sri Lankan government. Other disruptions in food supply related to ESG have occurred throughout Europe. In the United States in particular, investment giants and banking behemoths have signed on to international agreements such as the United Nations-led Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, a global coalition dedicated to climate change mitigation efforts organized under the auspices of the United Nations. GFANZ consists of approximately 450 banks, investors, and insurance companies whose members control $130 trillion in assets. Through GFANZ and its industry subgroups such as Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative and the Net Zero Banking Alliance, which controls 41% of global banking assets, the world's biggest investors and banks have agreed to set United Nations-approved emissions targets for their agricultural customers by 2024. Similar to the disastrous policies in Sri Lanka and elsewhere, nitrogen-based fertilizer use is being heavily targeted in the United States, and farmers are being urged to electrify their equipment, as well as curtail meat and dairy production, in order to create products that have lower carbon dioxide footprints, to name only a few examples. Farmers will soon be under enormous pressure to undertake these voluntary changes and reduce their emissions on risk being frozen out of bank financing. A report released in 2024 by Ohio's Buckeye Institute has found that operating expenses for farmers under an ESG reporting system would increase by 34%, leading to more expensive groceries. Items like American cheese, 79%, beef, 70%, strawberries, 47%, and chicken, 39%, just to name a few examples, would increase significantly. Overall, the report estimates a 15% total increase in household grocery bills if ESG scoring is allowed to be implemented nationwide. The Florida Farmer Financial Protection Act, which is part of this bill, would prohibit financial institutions defined as companies authorized to do business in this state which has total assets of more than $100 million and offers financial services, including any affiliate or subsidiary company, from restricting services to farmers or agricultural producers based on their greenhouse gas emissions, use of fossil fuel-derived fertilizer, or use of fossil fuel-powered machinery. Further, if a financial institution has made any ESG commitment related to agriculture, there is an inference that the institution's denial or restriction of a financial service to an agriculture producer violates this law. A bank may overcome this inference only by demonstrating that its denial or restriction of a financial service was based solely on documented risk analysis and not on any ESG factor. These are all common sense provisions that will go far to protecting Sunshine State farmers from discrimination while also protecting the wallets and pocketbooks of all Floridians. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you for being here. Maya Hahn, a proponent of the bill. Welcome, you are recognized.
Thank you. Good afternoon, esteemed members of the committee. My name is Maya Hahn. I am the Vice President of REACT, Research and Education for Autistic Children's Treatment, a nonprofit advocacy organization. I'm also the mother of two neurodivergent children. I'm a speech-language pathologist specializing in autism, and I'm also here representing special needs of Florida families who work hard to avoid toxins daily. REACT is part of the MAHA Florida Coalition, which is comprised of 11 health freedom organizations across Florida, representing tens of thousands of constituents across the state in support of this bill. And we strongly support HB 651 as it ensures safe, clean drinking water without forced medications or toxic additives. My husband is a dental provider. He is a dentist. Once supported fluoride. We even put fluoride in our children's water because we believed in the health benefits of fluoride. However, until the research has proved now that it reduces IQ in infants and young children and that puts vulnerable populations at significant risk. So what is in the water? Somebody asked. It's not just natural fluoride, what they're adding to the water. It's called fluorosilicylic acid. It's an industrial byproduct from fertilizer production. It's not a natural substance. It's tainted with traces of arsenic and lead. The National Toxicology Program published in 2024 a meta-analysis report that found higher fluoride exposure lowers IQs. In September 2024, a court case looked at all of the evidence. It was a case for Food and Water Watch versus the EPA. And the EPA lost the court case because it ruled that fluoride possesses an unreasonable neurological risk. This isn't water sanitation, it's medical intervention forced on the public without consent. The public has a right to informed consent and denial. Families I serve through REACT dodge chemicals in every product. They're looking at every label, they're watching everything that their kids are exposed to. These are vulnerable populations that have more propensity to toxicity, but they can't get it out of their water. A lot of our families cannot afford, the only way to get fluoride out of the water is reverse osmosis. These systems are expensive, and imagine putting that on every faucet that your child needs to drink from. Imagine going to the school and telling the school they can't drink from the faucet because it has a neurotoxin that could harm their already fragile brains. This bill restores our choice. It demands oversight and transparency, ensuring water hydrates, not medicates. As a mom, I fear for my kids' brains. As a specialist, I see neurodivergent children suffer from environmental harms. We deserve a say to say no to this risk, and we have a right to clean and safe drinking water. My husband's shift reflects the science. My work shows the stakes. HB 651 isn't about dental claims, it's about protecting vulnerable brains and honoring our rights. I urge you to pass this bill. It empowers families, safeguards our children, and ensures water isn't a forced experiment. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Kelby Senor with the National Rifle Association waves in support. Nancy Stewart, Florida Poultry Federation, waves in support. Julia Juarez with the Florida Agritourism Association, waves in support. Trip Hunter, Florida Farm Bureau Federation, waves in support. Members, that concludes public testimony. We are now in debate. Representative Rayner, you are recognized in debate.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And Rep. Tuck, thank you so much for reaching out to me. The moment you found out I was ex officio, I appreciate you. I have had a chance to read the bill. I have definitely some concerns with it. And I think that I have the concern about choice. I mean, I understand that we talk a lot about choice in this chamber. It's interesting to me, we pick and choose what people can get to choose about. Like, I feel like I would like to choose if I would like to engage in certain types of reproductive health, but I don't get to choose that. So it's interesting that we are kind of weighing in on those things. And that's concerning to me. It's concerning to me about some of the duplicative, what I feel is duplicative criminal penalties that are already codified in federal statute. So I am going to, obviously you and I are actually friends in real life, so I'm going to talk to you outside of this committee. Yes, Representative Alvarez, we are friends in real life as well. You got it. I will talk to you outside of this committee. So, but for today, I'm going to be a soft no. Obviously, you know, you and I will talk before it gets to the floor. I haven't had a chance to really sit down and walk through all 124 pages with you. But those are some of the things that are very concerning to me. So for that reason, I will be down, but I do welcome the opportunity to talk to you. I know this is a very big package, and I know that there's great things in this package. There are things that are also just a little concerning to me. That doesn't give me the comfort to vote, do a full-throated yes. But so I do welcome that opportunity to talk with you both. All right, thank you.
Representative Alvarez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to apologize. I was a little late running for another office. Rep, we talked about this bill. Someone that was born and raised in the agricultural business, and my dad in his 90s still works in the agricultural business. When I first on the weekend glanced at it, I tell you, first I applaud you for taking on this. This is a monster of a bill. And majority of it is great, right? But as I got more deeper into it today, and then listening to some of the stakeholders, there's certain concerns. Now, what makes me happy is that I know that you guys are having conversation with the stakeholders, and so that to me is promising. That I think that maybe some of our concerns are going to be talked about. Nothing to do with agriculture. I told you in the first text you had me at housing for agricultural workers. It is some of the others that there's still concerns, and so I do hope that you guys get to somewhere with the stakeholders, and maybe my next vote will be different. But on this one, like I said to you, I have to apologize. I cannot support it because of just those few sections. Boy, if they weren't there, I will be a yes all the way on this bill. Thank you so much, Rep.
Representative Bartleman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair, and I want to thank Representative Tuck for always being open for conversations and sitting down with me. So I'm going to start with the good things about this bill. One, the housing, which I support all the time, even when it was run as an individual bill by you. Two, the drone penalties, which I think make a lot of sense. The mosquito control programs, the criminal history checks, the permits for schools. I can even deal with, and I've been joking with you about this, calling my almond milk almond juice. I think if you think almond is milk and equate that to cow milk, there are bigger issues here. But I get why we're doing almond juice. I'll be fine with that, or whatever they're going to call it. I'll be okay with that. However, there are things in here that give me great pause and I have issues with. One is the ag land less than 25 acres. Why would we exempt them from using best practices? Shouldn't we want best practices utilized all over the state? Two, I think the 501c4 organizations don't belong in this bill. I think that it just seems to be something personal to stop certain organizations. It just doesn't fit with what you're trying to do here, and it's actually going to hurt groups, and it just seems like there's a reason behind that we don't know. And the next thing has to do with local control. I am never for preempting a local government from making decisions that are best for the people closest to them. And so the fluoride issue, it used to be perceived as a great thing, and now everyone has issues with fluoride. I can tell you currently the city of Buffalo, New York has several pieces of litigation against them for removing the fluoride. In places where they have removed fluoride, where it previously was, they had a rapid increase in dental issues, and we have an issue with people getting care. There is no provision for people who working poor, or people to figure out how they are going to get the fluoride to their child. Because in cities where fluoride does not happen, they will do like a fluoride rinse or fluoride tablets. The cheapest thing I could find online were $7.95 or $16.99. So that means people living in poverty are not going to have access to this. You can also get fluoride when you go to the dentist in your mouth, right? But that's if you have insurance. You can brush your teeth, but when you're talking about kids, you have to brush them exactly the right way. So if you're going to stop a local community from making decisions, then you should at least have a provision for families who can't afford the care they need to replace what has traditionally always been in the water. So for that reason, I'm going to be voting no. Well, that and the other, like 3 others. But other than that, good bill. Thank you, guys.
Representative Hinson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I thank you for the thorough text that you sent. We did some text talking, and I think I said to you, you had me until we got to number 8. What do you mean, fluoride? And you said, yes, ma'am. I said, uh-oh. So, yeah, you know, the CDC states that fluoridated water reduces cavities by 25%, saves $32 per person annually, and provides a $20 return on investment for every $1 we spend. Beyond that, when I was a city commissioner, we voted locally whether or not to put fluoride in the water. And we were able to get expert testimony from our citizens, from our dentists, from our healthcare professionals, and we were able to make a intelligent choice for our community, and we did fluoridate our water. That is the way I think we should be moving, because every community may not need it, may not want it, may believe that it harms your intelligence. Sometimes wonder, is that what's wrong with me? Because we do have fluoridation, but I know I'm an intelligent woman, so I don't know, about that particular thesis. At any rate, yeah, I think we need to have a deeper conversation about how to move with fluoridation. People who don't like it should be able to have that discussion with their local community, their local government, and people who think it's a good thing for their community, especially communities that have a large population of children that are in poverty. They may want to use this strategy. It just needs to be a local decision, and that's my opinion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Benaroche, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to say thank you to both of you for taking on this huge bill. It's something else, let me tell you. But I'm going to focus my comments on what was spoken here, and I appreciate everyone that came out to speak on behalf or opposing the bill. I love the Jolly Green Giant. I mean, what's there not to love about that? I love soy, but I think this is not about that. This is about people knowing what's in the water and what we put in our bodies. And the closest to the people I can think, it's just me. I'm closest to me, and I should be able to make those decisions for my families. And when we talk about fluoride being in the water for a long time, yeah, that doesn't mean the policy is outdated. It is outdated. We've had new studies now that show there's consequences for fluoride in water. So this is why it's important that we have clean and safe water, and people know what they're putting in their bodies. So, like somebody said, water should hydrate, not medicate. So I am up on this bill, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Members, any other debate? Seeing none, Representative Tuck, Representative Alvarez, you are recognized to close.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and with your indulgence, I'll ask Representative Alvarez to close.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members. The debate we're having here shows you just how big and important the Department of Agriculture is over the lives of Floridians. It's actually the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, so when you ask why there's a 165-page bill, it's because it affects every little part of almost everyone's lives. That has nothing to do with being in the field. It has everything to do with making sure our consumers are safe and protected. So to that extent, that may answer a little bit of the confusion why we delve into so many different areas. But when it comes to choice, I think we're having two different discussions here. One is something good. It's like fluoride. Like we keep fluoride is the smokescreen that keeps you on your toes, saying that you don't want to vote for a bill. But what I'm asking you to do is analyze: would you vote for this bill if I told you that I would put a chemotherapy drug in your water? So the idea is, think about it this way: 6 people in your local county commission think that they have the right to tell you what you're allowed to put in your body, when and where and how. You say today it's fluoride. Tomorrow I say, what is it? And you say today, hey, it's a local option. I would tell you it's not. My Bill of Rights is not a local option. It's a God-given right that was given to me by my Creator. And these are the things that you swore to protect when you took an oath to the Constitution. Just because they got it wrong 55 plus years ago doesn't mean we must continue to get it wrong today. Your family, your body, is your choice. We understand the fact that implied consent when you go to the doctor means you get to decide every little thing that goes in your body. And instead, you're telling me today that you hope it's okay that 6 people who were elected at a local level get to tell me what goes in my kid's body. That's the wrong answer. And if you think it's about preemption, it is. It is, because the defenders of the Constitution at the lower level have been getting it wrong. So maybe at the upper level where we've delegated it away, we'll get it right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the bill, and that is what we're fighting for. With that, ma'am, I rest.
Thank you, Representative. Having closed on HB 651, Missy, please call the vote.
Chair Esposito?
Yes.
Vice Chair Botana?
Yes.
Representatives Albert?
Yes.
Alvarez?
No.
Barnaby?
Yes.
Bartleman?
No.
Benaroche?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Henson,
No.
Mayfield,
Yes.
Mooney,
Yes.
Placencia,
Yes.
Salzman,
Yes.
Weinberger,
Yes.
Rayner.
No.
Thank you, Missy. Please show the bill reported favorably. Thank you. Congratulations. Members, this concludes our agenda. Seeing no further business before the subcommittee, Representative Albert moves we rise.